This clip from the Land Podcast is with Danny Thompson. He shares how he bought his first farm, how he loved it so much, how he ended up selling it and buying a new parcel. There's some really great insight in this. Hope you guys enjoy this. Here we go. Tell us a little bit more about the piece you ended up deciding to purchase that time.
I had that big lease in Southeast Minnesota, and it's the driftless area. It's Houston County. It's known for big bucks. I hunted some of the biggest farms that exist down there. There is giant deer there and a great area, but I couldn't afford 5 acres there. I just knew it wasn't going to happen there. So I started kind of, looking at Boone and Crockett numbers, looking at counties, going to the deer classics and kind of hearing about stuff. And I actually found out Ottertail County, which is in north central Minnesota. Amazing county. It's got great fishing. I'd always like to go there fishing. And so I knew okay, if I can't find something in Southeast, I'm going to start looking for anything around that Ottertail County area. Went up there. There's a disproportionate number of Boone and Crockett non-typicals killed in that county. So it's a great spot. Started looking up there, and the land is cheaper because it's a little bit more like swamp ground mixed with some farm ground and kind of that stuff. So it had a little bit lesser of a value, but started looking there and actually looked at so many pieces that today I wish I would have bought, looking back, but was looking at, all different things there. And I found a great place. It was 80 acres, had a cabin on it that was, kind of run down, needed some work, had a pole shed on it, but it had all the bones, all the making of being a good spot, the stuff, big property owners on all sides. One family owns to the east, one family owns to the south, one family to the west type of thing. Good transition zones is pretty much all wooded, surrounded by a lot of open ground. So it had the makings of being a good spot. It just needed some work. And the other thing is I'm a traveling salesman. I have nothing but time. So, when I went in and was kind of making some offers and dealings on it, that place was owned by like 5 siblings. And I think they weren't all coming to agreement on some of the stuff when it came to selling it. So they had some offers and things like that had fallen through, but I kind of went after it and they were very bad about getting back to us or anything like that. And I think the whole process of buying the place took like 3 or 4 months, took forever because it was just waiting for people to get back and going back and forth and whatnot. But, just kind of waited it out and ended up working in my favor.
Yeah, that sounds like your patience was rewarded there, as probably some people got discouraged or just a little bit annoyed with, it taking too long. How did you find this parcel? Was it listed for sale? Did you have an agent send it to you?
Yeah, so this is pre-COVID, right? So back then there was listings and, they sat there. There was listings that would be there for a while. It wasn't like if you seen a listing, you had to go there the day you found it and make an offer that day. So it was funny because I had seen that place, but it was a little bit more than I wanted to spend. And I was looking at a bunch of other places in the area. And it's funny because the realtor that I actually used when I purchased that place was the realtor that I used when I purchased my houses. It was a friend of mine from high school. And so we were looking at some properties and we saved that one for last because it was like, okay, it's kind of out of the budget, but maybe you could pull some strings, make some things work if it's really worth it. And so we had checked all these other places out and I seen some good things that day, but we're pulling into this place. It's, kind of that hour before the sun's going to set, kind of that golden hour. We're pulling up. It's October and I'm driving down the gravel road and the driveway is off to the right. And here comes about 160-inch deer walking down the driveway.
There's your sign.
Right out of that place into a bean field that was just on the side of it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like who paid to do that? Right.
Yeah.
And then we pull up, I look out in that bean field and there's probably 3 other shooter bucks in that bean field and another, big bunch of deer. And they all are coming out of this piece of property. It's one of those inside out type of properties. And I'm like, okay, take my money, let's make an offer right now. And definitely didn't disappoint. I mean, that farm, and I, since sold it and had just recently purchased my second place, but that farm, like I'm always going to regret selling that place. But I think in this process, it's just something I had to do,
Yeah. That's something I've noticed with a lot of people that I talk to is everyone loves their first farm so much and it is hard to sell. But then a lot of these guys that I talk to, let's say 15 years later, and I ask them, do you regret selling it? And they're like, not really. I mean, because it opens up more opportunity down the road, but it's like giving up something good to try to get something great, that is your end goal. So when you talk about it being a little bit over your budget, did you have to do anything creative, or was there more convincing with the wife, or how did you go about just extending that just a little bit?
Not necessarily. The big thing about buying land is like you can do a lot of creative things. And at that time, I really didn't even know about these creative things. I just knew I had to work hard. And, Nicole is an extremely hard worker. She had to work hard. We had a savings, and you got to have that down payment. Like when you're buying land, and I think it's still that's kind of the case. Like you have to have a down payment. What we did that was probably really stupid, but I think it definitely really paid off when I sold that farm is, we pretty much used all of our savings. Like we basically had nothing left. We had to come up. Yeah. We had like 40 grand, for a down payment. And we had no backup. Like that was our plan, was that farm. And I was going to go all in on it and make it good in a few years when I went to sell it. It all worked out, obviously, in the end. And like I said, the thing is when I went in and I purchased that farm, like, I don't know that I got a great deal. I might have got a pretty good deal. It was market value, but I knew that I could sell it for what I had into it, so I wasn't going to end up upside down or anything in it. And that's just kind of the mentality that I had to have, is like, you're buying your dream place. You've dreamed of owning a farm your whole life, but there's a chance if something terrible happens, you may have to get rid of it. And that's what we did. And we made it work, and, worked out. The very first year I owned it, I had a deer that was over 190 inches on this farm. Wow. Non-typical, biggest deer I've ever hunted in my life. Hunted him, lots of good deer. The neighbor shot a beautiful 170 inch, net whitetail up there last year. Just great deer. Hunted some of the biggest deer I've ever hunted there. So that really helped. And all along was kind of like putting some of this stuff out there online and kind of the journey of this farm. And, that paid off tremendously when I went to go sell it, because I actually ended up selling it to a guy that I knew, in a roundabout way through work. And he had been watching all this stuff on Instagram. So in this listing, and I knew this listing, it was probably the hottest listing in that county, this year for sure. And it was like, when I put that up, he was like, okay, tell me how much you want for it, and I'm buying that farm. So it definitely paid off.
I hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Jake Hofer, and I'm a real estate agent out of the state of Illinois, and it's my goal to help 100 people buy their first farm. Been doing that with the Land Podcast and clips like this every single Thursday and Saturday that are released here on the channel. And to be one of those 100 people, all you have to do is, if you're in the state of Illinois and I can help you, I'd be happy to do so. Number two, if you want to get connected with someone that can help you, reach out, and I'll be happy to get you in contact with an agent that I would personally do business with. And the last one is, if you just simply learn something from the content we're putting out, or you get inspired to take action, I want to know, get you out of that spreadsheet. I'm on a mission to help 100 people. Until next time, see ya.